How dare she make me go through all of this? How dare she grasp the crumbs of happiness that she gave me and take them away from me? I'm not okay. Hello everybody, it's Sara. Welcome back. Today I'm here to talk to you about all of the books that I've read during the month of March. So I'm doing this wrap up a little bit earlier than I normally would because I think we're like the 28th of March today, but the reason why I'm doing it that early is because I am actually in the process of moving out of my parents' house. That's right, I'm finally moving out. If you've been following me here for a while, you may know that I was supposed to move out like in 2019. So it's been a long time coming and it's finally happening. So you can't tell, I think, because of the angle that I chose for this video, but like half of my bookshelves are empty. I just left a couple of books in here so that it wouldn't be as dull of a background for all of you. But yeah, like all of my books are in boxes right now. Well, except those. And it's happening. It's really happening, and it's at the same time very exciting but also terrifying. And I hope that it goes well, but yeah, there are going to be a couple of changes happening in the next couple of weeks, and when I say a couple, I mean like a lot of changes. But I mean, for the channel, it won't change too much, except for the fact that I'm going to be, you know, reorganizing my bookshelves and setting up my new reading spots and all of that, and I will definitely be taking you along. So yeah, this is officially the last video that I'm gonna be filming in this room. Or at least I'm going to be filming entirely in this room because I have a vlog coming up. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. I just wanted to let you know, this is my announcement. I am moving out of my parents' house and it's kind of crazy right now. But anyway, for now, let's just talk about all of the books that I've read in March, and yeah, let's begin. So I have my trusty reading journal right here with me, and I have read 4 books into the month of March. So it was definitely like a slower reading month for me, but I really enjoyed most of the books that I've read this month, so I'm very excited to talk about them with all of you. And the first book that I ended up finishing in March was A Sky Beyond the Storm by Saba Tahir. This is, as you may already know, the 4th and final book into the Ember in the Ashes series by Saba Tahir, and the best way that I can actually describe what it felt like to read this book is that it was at the same time like so satisfying in conclusion to the series. I really enjoyed it, but also it felt like being hit straight across the face with a chair repeatedly. Like everything that I wanted to happen happened in this final book, and it was so satisfying. There was so much action, so much angst, so many plot twists and turns that I didn't see coming, and just everything was so well done, but it also completely destroyed me. And in case you don't know about An Ember in the Ashes, basically in this YA fantasy series we follow our main character Laya, who is a scholar, and in that world scholars are actually oppressed by another group called the Marshals, and we follow Laya as her destiny stumbles across the path of those 2 other main characters, Elias and Helene, who are Marshals. And that is because at the beginning of the book, Laya's brother is actually taken captive because the Marshals believe that he is a part of the rebellion, and so she vows to save him and take him out of prison. And this series is just so good. It's so phenomenal. If you haven't read it already, please just pick it up. It is one of the best YA fantasy series out there. I'm sure you've heard of it somewhere before because it's just so good and it deserves all of the hype that it gets, even more, I believe. And the different love stories that we have in these books are absolutely incredible, especially like in the last one, A Sky Beyond the Storm. There was a ship that I was just so rooting for, and I love them both so much, and just everything is so good. Like I said, it's just super angsty. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of like great lore and legends that Saba Tahir integrates into her stories, and it's just so well done. The world building is incredible, the magic system is so cool, and yeah, I just really love that series, and I'm so happy that I finally read the last book because it was everything that I wanted, including all of the pain. So you know, it was like a great time, at the same time kind of a punch in the face, but I also really enjoyed every single second of it, so I can't really complain. And that's also definitely what I was expecting, because Sabata here never holds back her punches. She has been killing our faves since 2015, and I don't think that she's done doing so. Then after all of this action and pain and sadness, I needed something lighter, so I decided to pick up Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. I kind of said that weird. Act Your Age, Eve Brown. Why is that hard to pronounce for me this morning? This book is the third and very sadly last book into the Brown Sisters trilogy by Talia Hibbert. These books are like contemporary romances, and in this one we follow Eve Brown, who doesn't have her life figured out at all. She's kind of a mess. She's trying to figure out who she is professionally, and at the beginning of the book, after yet another career disaster, her parents decide that they had enough, and they just decide to basically kick her out and tell her that she needs to figure out her life. So Eve decides to go on a drive, and she stumbles upon this very cute B&B in the countryside, and she decides on the spot to just apply for the chef position that's open there currently. And that is where our second main character, Jacob, who is the owner of the B&B, comes into play. And from the get-go, they don't get along, they don't really like each other, but because of a situation that they get tangled up in, Eve has to stay at the B&B and actually work there. She basically hits him with her car. It's in the synopsis, so I'm not spoiling anything. I just think it's so funny, so I had to mention it. He doesn't die, like, he's fine, but she also hits him with a car. So because of that incident, they decide to basically strike a deal together, and since this is a contemporary romance, I think we all know where this is going. This book was definitely my favorite in the entire trilogy. I just really loved it because the characters were both so delightful and so funny together, and because it's kind of like this hate to love relationship, we have this incredible, and when I say incredible, I mean incredible banter between the two characters. They're just so funny and so snarky towards one another, but then they also start to have feelings. So it's just a lot of angst, a lot of fun moments. There's a particular scene that comes to mind that involves a duck that just really killed me. I was cackling out loud reading this book from beginning to end. I just loved everything about it. It was so sweet. The cast of characters is also incredibly diverse, and the two main characters are both on the autism spectrum, which was very refreshing to read about, and just all of their interactions were so sweet. They made me laugh, they made me almost cry. Like, I teared up a couple of times because it was just so dang cute and I couldn't handle it. So yeah, I just had the best of time reading this book, and if you love contemporary romance and you still haven't read any Talia Hibbert books, I would highly recommend her because she is just absolutely incredible, and her books are just so good. Then the next book that I want to talk about is Lightbringer by Claire Legrand, and to be honest with all of you, I don't have much to say about this book. This is the third and final book into the Imperium trilogy, and in case you don't know about the Imperium trilogy, it is this YA new adult fantasy series about these two queens who live 1,000 years apart, and the Blood Queen is supposed to be the one that brings doom to their kingdom, and then the Sun Queen is supposed to be the one that is going to save the kingdom. I feel like when it comes to this series, I really enjoy the concept of it, but the execution always leaves me wanting more, especially from this last book, because for the first 400 pages, I felt like nothing was really happening, and that's probably because I wasn't really that attached or that invested into the characters and the story anymore, because I read the first two books like a year and a half ago, I think. So at this point my memory was not really good, and also I just really wasn't that much into the story anymore, so maybe I should have just skipped that one. But I decided to read it for the latest edition of the Basically Readathon, and I did film a vlog for this, so I will leave it on the screen if you want to go and check it out. So yeah, I decided to just like keep on powering through this book. Like I said, around page 400 it started to be more interesting for me, but that's only because we were getting into the last showdown and things were finally, you know, happening, and I was finally getting answers and everything was just like falling into place. But because I was basically just reading this book to know how the story was going to end, it really didn't get interesting for me until this last part. So so I can't really say that I enjoyed it. But if this series sounds interesting to you, I would still definitely give it a try. I think that just overall it wasn't really for me in terms of the execution of it. And then the last book that I completed in the month of March was The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon. I finally read this 4th book into the Bone Season series, and as with A Sky Beyond the Storm, this book was truly a wild experience because while I enjoyed every single second of it, I felt like Samantha Shannon was really coming for my life and my emotions. I feel like I've been talking about the Bone Season non-stop on my channel lately, but in case you don't know what it's about, it's this fantasy kind of dystopian series, and there are clairvoyants and people who can like interact with spirits and weird people from another world that are trying to eat humans, and it's a lot. Every single time I try to explain what this series is about on my channel, I feel like I do a very poor job because it's just so complex. It has so much going on, but it's also so good. And like I said, this 4th book nearly destroyed me, and I knew that going into it because I had seen reviews, I had seen videos of people literally sobbing while reading this book, so I knew that it was going to hurt, and I thought I was going to suffer, but I actually suffered more than I thought I was going to be, so you know, that was a fun time. Obviously, I'm not going to go into too many details about the synopsis of this book, but this series is just so good. It has such great characters. Paige, our main character in particular, I just love her so much. She is such an interesting female character. She's very complex. She has a lot of flaws, but she's also such a badass. And I also really love Arcturus, who is her friend slash mentor slash love interest. I just love him so much. I think he's such a fascinating character. Their interactions in this book in particular made me laugh, they made me melt, they made me cry, they made me scream. I just love them so much. I am so invested in their ship. And also another thing that I really love about this series when it comes to the character is that there isn't one straight person in sight. Samantha Shannon really said, I'm going to give you a full queer cast of characters. You're welcome, and I really appreciate her for that. Also, I feel like I'm just repeating myself because I've been raving about this series for like a whole year now, but the world building is so good, the magic system is fascinating, everything is just so complex and so well done. Samantha Shannon thought of every detail. She also crafted such an interesting and mysterious plot that really keeps you on your toes. The stakes are high, the backstabbing is never ending, and the emotions are constantly being destroyed. I just love this series so much. I feel like I will never stop raving about it. So anyway, the last thing that I'm going to be saying about this book is that it ended on an insane cliffhanger, and I just need answers. I'm in denial. I need to talk to Samantha Shannon. We need to sit down and have a chat, because how dare she make me go through all of this? How dare she grasp the crumbs of happiness that she gave me and take them away from me? I'm not okay. And then finally, I just wanted to end this video by talking about the book that I'm currently reading, and that book is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I feel like I might be able to finish my reread before the end of the month, so I just wanted to mention I'm reading this book right now. I'm more than halfway through. I'm having a great time. I'm so happy to be reunited with all of my favorite characters from this series because I just love them so much. I have to say though, it was kind of harder for me to get into it this time around, which is kind of surprising, but I feel like it's also maybe because I have a lot of books on my TBR right now that are kind of like looking at me, begging to be read. You can probably see this one right here in the background. But still, like I said, I was so excited to finally start rereading this series, and so far I'm having a great time, so that makes me very happy. Alright, so there you all have it. These are all of the books that I managed to finish during the month of March. Definitely let me know down below which were your favorite books that you read last month, because I would really love to know. As always, I love to get new recommendations from all of you. If you've watched until the end of this video, leave me a little box emoji in the comments to like cheer me on in my box making for my move, and I hope that you really enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!